Hey everyone, Tony Vlahos here, Chief Marketing Officer of ExecuNet, and I'm speaking today with Amit Shankardass, who is the Executive Vice President of the company Teleperformance. Amit, it's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Great, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. So tell us a bit about Teleperformance, what you do, where you do it. I know it's a large global company for sure.
Now, yes, and about 175,000 people large is what the company is. Teleperformance is a provider of outsourced multi-channel customer experience management, and what that means is when you're interacting with your retail bank or with your credit card company or with your smartphone provider or your healthcare payer, very often you're interacting with Teleperformance people who take on the persona of many of the world's leading brands and clients. Like I said, 175,000 people in 62 countries. We do a lot of what we do, obviously. We happen to be the largest in the industry. And you could almost classify our work into a few buckets: customer management, customer care, back office processing. That's what the company does.
Wonderful. So it must be challenging, I suspect, especially for the head of marketing, to align people culturally and globally around a single brand vision. Am I overstating the challenge, or is it real?
No, you're exactly right. It's not easy at all, and it's not easy also when we are really behind the curtains for our clients. The persona our people take on when they interact with customers is the persona of our client. So many times we are not front and center. Many times our clients won't actively talk about the services we provide them directly. So whilst client testimonials and the slide that shows all your clients and everything you do for them is probably one of the more important ones, it is sometimes a challenge because of that veil that we put between ourselves and our clients and their customers, which is very understandable. So it's doubly challenging, not just with the size and scale, but also with that dynamic. So really what happens in our business is two things that are really important. One is, if you deliver exceptional service, your clients start speaking amongst and within themselves and with other clients. And that word of mouth is hugely important. It's a small enough industry in a way, $40 billion, but people do interact with each other. And then the second part is, if you keep your employees hugely satisfied, and we have 175,000 of them, then they become your word of mouth. So two programs we focus on very greatly is NPS for our clients and NPS internally, or employee sat, for our employees. And those probably become some of our most powerful marketing tools in a non-traditional way.
Tell me more about those programs, Amit.
Sure, and the NPS for our employees, or ESAT, and one of the reasons we did this, by the way, is we saw an early correlation between ESAT, employee satisfaction, and client satisfaction, about a 0.68 correlation.
Goodness. Very
Very high. More interestingly, or just as interestingly, I should say, is the correlation between client satisfaction and EBITDA, a 0.82 correlation. So early days, leadership at the company said, if we focus on our employees and we establish great programs, great culture, great engagement programs, so that they're happy at work, enjoy what they do, they'll deliver great service, which in turn to our clients, which in turn will allow our clients to outperform the market with the correlation to EBITDA and profitability. Which is why we focus on the NPS piece, and obviously on NPS for our clients.
So you're spreading the word through your employees and their cultural happiness. And of course, the referrals are very important to you. A happy customer is a happy customer.
Absolutely.
And are you engaged in social media much? Are you spreading the word of Teleperformance through those channels? And what have you discovered as a large company trying to be part of that conversation, as we say in marketing?
Sure, absolutely, and absolutely we use the should I call them the conventional vehicles of communication, whether it's social media or web, and some advertising and events, etc. all of those are to amplify really one key attribute, I would say, if I was overly simplifying it. And in our world, we call it transforming passion into excellence.
Wonderful.
That's the vernacular we use. Internally, it's the vernacular we live. You'd find it printed on almost everything we do. You'd walk into every one of our 270 plus contact centers, and you'd find it printed all over. These vehicles we use to demonstrate how we do that on a daily basis, not just say, right? So we're walking the walk. Talking the talk is the easy part for a marketing guy,
Sure.
but walking the walk is really where it begins to manifest through those channels. And we found, for us, social media engagement again is two ways. It's with our clients and their customers, but just as importantly, with our people. So we are very active on social media channels with our people too.
Wonderful. So what does the future hold for Teleperformance? How do you plan to achieve what you want to?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball and I could predict exactly what the future held. That's kind of tough to do sometimes, but here's what I do know. If history, or even recent history, is an indicator of future for Teleperformance, then our future is really bright. We have grown substantially over the last several years. We've had a history of profitable growth. We've had a history of increasing employee satisfaction scores and client NPS scores, both which I said were very core to our continued growth. So it's not just about growth for the sake of growth, but really good growth. Growth in terms of the domestic markets we participate in. The US market is the world's largest outsourced customer management market, and our share every year of the market has grown substantially. So from our perspective, I think we look at this and say there's still a huge world of work that's not outsourced. In fact, interestingly, even though we're an almost $4 billion entity globally, we look at this marketplace and see about 60-70% of the market is still in-house. It's not outsourced. So for us, we still see a huge opportunity in this global marketplace.
Wonderful. And it sounds like you're going to get there.
Well, I'm sure hoping we do. And it's a lot of fun.
Terrific. Thank you, Amit, so much for your time and for your insight. Thank you.
Pleasure.